Well, welcome to the Totally Awesome Fishing Show. Here we are again. Now this one is, listen, a non-fishing film. I like the wild outdoors of the window outside my kitchen, and we've got a bird feeding station out there. Now, because I go fishing outdoors and I've done it for 60 odd years, I'm aware of some of the birds that go around, and yes, I'm not an ornithologist, I'm not some expert, I just like noting some of the birds that are dotted about. They sort of tell you what's going on with the seasons, and they're almost an indicator of the health of nature. That's my opinion anyway. So, every once in a while, wifey screams out while I'm working on the edit, quick, there's on the bird feeder in the garden somewhere. Grab the camera, fire it up, run out, half the time, 80% of the time, 90% of the time. I get nothing, By the time the camera's come on, it's gone, or something spooks it. But over the years, I'm talking years, I have stockpiled and filed on the external hard drive a lot of clips. Now they're birds that I've seen out there, literally outside the kitchen window or in the garden somewhere, and I thought, I'm going to keep that and see, for posterity's sake, how many come. Now, I've got to tell you, honestly, I don't want to be too despondent, but there are way more birds on this clip than I have got right now, and I'm talking 2022, 2023, the last 3 years, I have found in the back garden, outside the kitchen window, a big deterioration in the number of birds. I don't really know why. I need some ornithologist out there, or some of you guys, to actually, drop some hints and tips in there as to what you think. Have you found the same? Have you found there are less birds around? It could be herbicides, fertilisers, bird flu, lack of insects, which is linked, I feel, to the herbicides. I don't know, but we've got the feed out there, not massive, one fat ball at a time, not 10 fat balls up there. So, occasionally we'll put peanuts out, sunflower hearts, stuff like that. We don't go mad, just to try and see what does come. Anyway, sit back and enjoy. This is all voiceover. There is no fishing. If you want to switch off now, that's fine, but I feel a few people out there might be interested, that like the outdoors and nature and stuff like that, and indeed might be able to comment. Let's get cracking, because I had to go through over 400 clips to find the ones I want. There's quite a lot there. So here we go with the first bird, which I am calling a female blackbird. That sort of smoky, is that a grey colour, would you call that? This is obviously in the winter. You can see the ground's all frosted up there, and he's below the bird feed, and he's picking bits and pieces up that presumably the others have chiselled off the top. Like you can see the bits. I noticed in some of the bird feed you get a lot more standard wheat as well, and they don't seem to like that quite so much, I have to say that. So I've got that with a couple of, is it goldfinches in the back there? So now listen, ornithologists out there and experts, of which there must be a considerable number in the world, let me know if I'm wrong. These are just the ones I got down, and obviously they're different clips that I've put. Some I filmed in slow motion. Now this is I got this down as a male blackbird. Do please tell me if I'm wrong. And he is doing the same. But what I do notice is a lot of these, they'll flick things over. Leaves, anything like that, and they're looking underneath. Now, this is up to the bird feeder, for goodness sake, Graeme. We know he's taking bits of seed and stuff. But that one I got down as the male blackbird, which is, as you can see, totally black. Bobbing around there in the grass, picking up what he can. How many of these do I see now? I rarely see. I do see the occasional blackbird, the male there, but I don't see many of the females. Here are the blue tits. Look, these guys we used to have absolutely swarming. The last 3 years, and they nest here. I've got 14 bird boxes up in the garden. I'm not saying they're all used, but we watch them bobbing in and out there with their various families. And this last 3 years, the numbers have gone way down. Now, these are ones when we did have a lot of birds in the garden. What, my query is, where have they gone to? Where do they go to? And they're obviously different types of, I'm going to say, colours, variations on a theme. Is this one the cold tit, the blue tit? Which one is that? As you can see, flies off. Some I did film with the slow motion on the camera, and others I've just grab shotted. I've got lots of pictures that aren't usable, but these are the ones I feel are usable. We don't go mad with the bird food, putting 6 or 8 up, you can see, of the fat balls, and we don't totally choke the nut feeding basket, if you want to call it there. So we don't overdo it, because they still have to find food in the wild, don't they? So where have all these gone to? I've got this down. Tell me, is that an immature goldfinch? But look on his leg, there's a growth or something that's totally deformed his foot. Now, I've seen this on a pigeon. I don't know, I've had a pigeon for years. That's how we were able to recognise it. I've got in close and you can see it's totally deformed. What is causing this? That's 2 different species of bird with pretty much the same deformed foot there. I put it in, might upset somebody, but it's the way that is nature. That's what's happening, and I'm not even sure it's going to happen on the other leg as well. But what is causing that? I don't know. Is it something in the environment that we're maybe polluting with? Is it something, who knows? I don't know, the herbicides, or is it something that's natural? Now here up high is a mixture, because I've got those down as buzzards. They're right over the top of a house. Buzzards with a rounded tail and red kites there. Can you see the difference between the delta tail, the sort of V in the back tail, and the buzzards? And I noticed when they're flying, I was talking today on a journey down to Somerset with the buzzards do, if they're not soaring on a hot day, have to use more wing action, whereas the red kite with their delta wings, the slight kink in their main wings, seems to be able to soar a lot better. But I've got this down as a mixture of buzzards and kites, and trust me, I'm on a full 20 times zoom. They are way, way high in the sky. This will probably be in the summer. Now, in this particular time I was filming, now this is a winter shot, we've got sheep in the back there. As you can see, farmers put some sheep in there. We've had that as a cover crop for shooting, when they used to do shooting when we first moved here. That's all gone now. And now it's gone for farm. Look in the middle of the picture, I'll go in again. There is a raptor, a predator bird there. Now, I'm putting these down at that distance of zoom as a buzzard, because I don't think a lot of the time that the red kites actually go along the ground feeding like that. I've seen them on the ground, but they're more of a scavenger, whereas the buzzard is a proper full-on predator bird. So I'm interested in what he's after there, because I believe that was the area that they put, is it turnips they feed them in the winter, the sheep? Most of the time I see they don't eat them. There you go. Is that almost sure that's a buzzard in there? Again, I'm no expert. Anybody tell me if I've got it wrong. It's not a problem. It won't keep me awake at night if I'm wrong. But I'm putting that one down there as a buzzard. The sheep are not even batting an eyelid there. But if you look, he was going along the ground, and there's going to land again there, look, and he's looking for stuff there. Is it insects? Something around their droppings or something like that, as if some sort of fly or maggot or something like that. And look how he runs, like a sort of what I call a dinosaur run, isn't it really? It's how the dinosaurs run. One leg up, they don't hop along on the 2 legs. And is it all raptor birds that do this? Do they all walk like that? Like us, like human beings, one leg after the other. But I've also seen buzzards hunting on the ground like this, chasing things. I believe that one might even have something in his claws there, if you can just see he's got something. I'm not a professional photographer. It's just somebody who goes out with a camcorder through the kitchen window or just outside my fence and get what I can when I can. No, he hasn't got anything in his claws there. But quite a majestic bird. I think in the background on the right, a little bit from that big, I think there's a secondary one there, it's smaller. Maybe even be 2 there. Do you see the one just moving? So am I right in thinking that the buzzards will take more? I've seen them try to catch rabbit live. I've definitely seen that. And you can see they're hunting, and they're quite a big bird as well. So it's nice to think I've got birds like this just outside my back door. Not all the time, of course. Now these red kites and birds, now this one, look at it, it's swooping down through there. I've seen them come through and try and take a pigeon. And they've got that sort of rounded tail at the back. That's what I tell them. And that sort of tawny type brown colour to them. This one's just standing there in the rain on the fence. Probably not bothered. Probably can't hunt very well when it's raining like that. Another one, it might even be the same one up in the tree. Now, I want to know, how far do they hunt? How far will a buzzard travel on a hunting expedition each day? I mean, 10 miles, 5 miles, 20 miles, I don't know. There's Dougie the scarecrow, who's pointing in the direction of the next bird that I'm going to film. And there he is. I just thought all these clips I've put together over a long period of time. Now you can see this one walking in my garden, one leg after the other, rather than hopping along, and he's definitely looking on the ground. Look, I wonder what he's looking for. Would they feed buzzards? I mean, he's got to have a fairly high intake of insects. Look, he's seen something, he's running for it. He's got to have a fair intake of food, of protein, to be able to survive. And I've seen them have a go for a rabbit, absolutely chasing a full-grown rabbit, dropped out of a tree chasing a rabbit. I thought these would be interesting pictures. Say, I'm not sitting out there for days and days waiting for this to happen. I'm not employed by somebody as a wildlife cameraman. I'm just doing it for my own hobby. It's just nice to think of all the collection I've got. Now these ones we get, they come sort of late autumn time, they seem to show up. And there'll be a bunch of them, otherwise known as a flock. But, you know, to me, a bunch of birds. Are they field fares? I got those down as maybe a field fare or a redwing, I'm not sure. Does any ornithologist out there know? Is this what they call a field fare? And now look at the way this one goes. He bounces along. He doesn't walk like the buzzard. He springs along on both legs at the same time. And they've got a lovely smoky grey head to it. As you can see, this one here, digging around in the garden. A speckled chest there, which is a bit like a thrush, I suppose you could look at it, and a couple of white flashes either side of his neck there. But they're obviously feeding on something, but I think it's a redwing. Experts, please tell me. You don't have to mock if I say, oh, Graeme, you don't know what you're doing. No, I just got that down as a field fare. If I'm wrong, do tell us all out there exactly what this bird is, because somebody will be able to perhaps find out or even look them up. And the difference being, you can get immature ones that'll have different markings. But as you can see, they come in a flock. Where do they come from? Where do field fares come? Where do they go? Where do they travel to? How far can they fly? Do they stay in a flock all the time? Are these one of the birds that migrate, which I feel they do, because it's not all through the year that I see them. It's more autumny, winter time. So I don't know whether they're dropping down from the north, you know, myself. So you can see quite a lot of them just out my back kitchen window, guys. That's all I'm doing. I'm standing, shooting through the glass. That's why it's not going to be huge. Now this one I'm thinking, is this one called a redwing with that red flash, or is that just a field fare with different markings? Because he's got that white flash over the top of his eye. Can you see that? That could be a field fare with that nice grey head to it. But when they got, excuse me, when they got that red flash, you'll see some other birds in a minute that I've filmed. They've got a sort of red bit on the thing. It could be different. This one I got down as a goldfinch. Now this is feeding on what they call a Niger feeder, which is a narrow slot feeder with a Niger seed in it, which is absolutely tiny. And quite why, I suppose they must take other stuff as well, but they're obviously a sort of delicate feeder. And being with a red face and a big yellow flash on their wing, I imagine they're regular fodder of, you know, predator birds, kestrels and stuff like that. those have almost disappeared. Why is he doing this? Why is this bird hovering like that? I'm thinking, look, watch. He's trying to disturb insects. I've never seen that before. But I think he's trying to disturb insects, move them so they can see them and then peck them up. He's doing it again there. Or is it a very young goldfinch that, is just learning to fly? I don't think so, because his head was turning down. If you watch that clip again, his head was turning down while he was sort of hovering. Look, he's trying to do it again. Is he trying to disturb stuff? I don't know. Bird people, tell me. That's later in the evening, so it's not great condition for filming. But as you can see, he's picked up some sort of beetle there or something. Yeah, he's doing it. Look, are they disturbing stuff? I don't know. I put that in again because I thought it might be different. There, look, he's looking down. If he's learning to fly, would he be looking down like that? Strange one. I've never seen that before. Look, his head is going down, peck, peck, peck. Now he's got something. So what was the creature that you think he got? Some sort of insect or wood lice? Too big for an ant. But there was a creature there he was definitely, I feel sure, trying to disturb. And there's goldfinches, a bunch of them. We rarely get these now, rarely get them. Years ago I could have 5, 6 or 7 in a group on the feeder. Now, these are older clips. These are not this year's clips. I've not been able to film more than 1 or 2 this year. But obviously they're under the feeder because other birds on top of the feeder knock all the other seeds out, the fat balls and bits of peanuts and stuff like that. Beautiful colours in them. Some have more of a sort of red face. Now that one doesn't, does it? Look, it doesn't have the red on it. They've got the red over the eye. The one in the back's got the yellow flash towards the tail, or the edge of the outer wing, I would guess. But the one previously didn't have the red flash. I'm assuming that would be an immature one, I'm not sure. What's he eating? What type of insect? Some beetle thing? And of course, here's something different. A close-up of a green woodpecker. Now the green woodpecker, I don't believe are the ones that go in the side of the trees and you hear them drilling, brr, 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 like this. The green woodpecker I find goes across the ground a lot, looking for insects, worms, beetles, drilling away in the garden itself. But again, lovely sort of olivey green, smoky red head to it, and a wicked looking beak. Look at the length of that beak in relation to its head. The other thing I noticed, these have got what I call monocular vision. So they can look ahead like predators do. And I've noticed, you'll see in some clips coming up, that they actually turn their head on one side as though they're looking up or looking for something, which I was not being able to work out why. If I see a clip coming up in a minute, I'll tell you, but you'll see their head turn as though they're going to looking up or looking down for something. But he is really going for it, and he's digging down deep in the lawn. I want to see what he's getting. I wonder if they're ants or something like that. And this is really close. This is just outside my kitchen window. Different day, possibly a different bird. He's in the edge of the gravel trying to get stuff out there. That's why I'm perhaps thinking, do they go for ants? Little spiders maybe, something like that. And it's a lovely red head to it there. It's as far in as I can zoom and use with the computer. And bearing in mind, I'm filming through the glass of the kitchen windows. It's never going to be great. There is my hopping bird again, as you can see. So what is it that's creating these deformed feet on these finches? I've got that down as a finch. We had a pigeon that had the same sort of deformed feet, and we had it for years and years and years. But it almost looks as though that one's getting it on both feet. So does anybody out there know, maybe it's some genetical disorder that the finches or the whole finch family actually suffer from? Probably think it's a bit sad. That one actually looks like a different bird altogether. It doesn't have the growth on him. Still feeding, obviously, as you would have to if you're in the wild. It's that or die, so there's not much choice, is there? He can't go down the A&E and get his foot sorted out. Is that a bullfinch or is that an immature goldfinch? Experts, tell us please, put it in the comments. What do you think these birds are? I know quite a few of out there will follow them. This one's got is this a greenfinch? I took this one because I don't know. It definitely got more green in it there, the profile of it. Is that a greenfinch? The head looks slightly more tufted, maybe the beak's a bit different. Now you just see him put his head on the side there. I'm sure he's trying to focus on something above. Maybe look out for predator birds like kestrels and stuff. Look, see him do it. There, he did it. Why else would he do that? Or is he using, maybe they are listening? They're listening to insects in amongst the food. So is that a greenfinch? Guys, let me know. I won't be offended if it's not. It might be something exceedingly rare. Who knows? He's pretty skittish in his actual movements. He seems very nervous. It might be maybe a young one, immature one, something like that. Constantly twitching around, looking all the time. So apologies for not being a fishing film, but I've put all these clips together, and I know there are people out there that can sit and watch birds forever. I don't mind watching birds, but obviously not forever. Fishing is my hobby and other jobs. But if they're just outside the window, I feel it's nice to put up a selection of different ones that you can get an idea of colours. And, of course, if you're into ornithology, I think it is an ornithologist. You can identify all these, and that's what they call twitchers, people that will drive miles just to see a really, really rare bird. And indeed, I believe there are people that photograph the rare birds. There goes a jay. This is possibly the ultimate coloured birds when he takes off with that. It's a sort of teal blue colour in the outside edge of his wing there. Black and white down towards the back. But he's putting his head from side to side. I've noticed it a lot, and it's more when I'm doing the editing that I notice it, why they're looking like that. It's when they really twist their head and look upwards. Or are they listening? He's got a small seed there. See, it looks like they're listening, isn't it? Strange. You don't really notice it too much when they're moving fast, but if you do it on a slow motion, you can actually pick these things up. There it goes again. Just like he's listening rather than looking almost. Here we go again. He's scoffing the food off one of the bird tables we had further down in the garden. There you can see that blue flash of colour. Amazing colour really for, well, I really think it looks like almost a tropical type bird, isn't it, when it takes off. An amazing number of different colours when you look at these birds. There it is in close up. But that outer edge is what we used to fish with a feather like that called teal. I think it's from the duck, teal. And we used to make trout flies for sea trout. And they used to have teal, blue and silver. So you'd have a sort of teal blue feather for the fly and silver underwhipping. And it was very good for sea trout. Fly fishing, that is. And of course you buy these from fly fishing suppliers with the feathers, the hackles, everything you wanted. Squirrel for deer hair, marabou. And you can still buy a lot of that from, if you're a fisherman, you know, who does tie their own flies, and I've done that, you'll know it's a really nice colour. See him twist his head? Look, it's like there. Is it to look and locate where that, you know, piece of seed or piece of food is? Are they listening? Are they twisting their head so they can see a predator come? But it's more when they take off that you can see that blue flash. Very distinctive, the jay. In fact, I think you'd be hard pushed to mix it up with any other bird. Watch him drop down there. Is that not spectacular? Onto the ground, almost vertical. Is he going to fly or not? He certainly seems agitated. He's going to grab something. What's he going to do with it? Off he goes. And he's got food. See him looking how they twist their head. Are they looking up for a predator or are they looking down for more food? I don't know. Birdie people, tell me. There's the twist. And down he drops. Oh, he's got a mouthful of food. Perhaps he's got a nest with young in it, and off they go. They're feeding young. When they take more than one piece, if they're eating it like this one, they're just feeding. Beautiful colours. I still do see these around, I have to say. I still do see the occasional jay. Where the most we've had in one around the feeder area or down in the bottom garden is 3 altogether, which I assume they would be a family, would they, if they're together? You know, male, female and a young one. Finch, bullfinch. What do you think, guys? Chaffinch, bullfinch, immature goldfinch. It's got that stubby sort of beak. And I think it's a finch of some description. Again, when you look, his legs don't look great. Now, here's a predator. There he goes. Feeding on the ground. And I got this down as a kestrel. And he does like to come occasionally and sit absolutely on the roof of the well there and survey the world around him, looking for anything and everything. And I notice they do pick beetles and stuff off the ground. So I suppose that there you go. They's on the ground looking for beetles and stuff. I've seen them fly off with beetles. But when they're hunting long and low, they can really zip and dart through a woodland and pick off small birds, you know, like sparrows and finches and stuff like that to eat on. These ones, longtails, there are some longtails. We used to get 6 or 8 of these, and I believe they're sort of, somebody did say one film I put up before that they are a sort of family type bird. They actually stay as a family and feed as a family. But I think I've seen 2 the whole of 2023, which before we would get them, not all the time, but when they came, they would stay for a few days, and there would definitely be 5, 6 of them all together like this one. I got that down as a fairly young one, chased off by the more aggressive blue tit there. And he gets right inside the cage. The reason we put 3 fat balls in there like that is because we get attacked by the starlings a lot and they just demolish everything. But a really delicate, pretty bird, this one, you can see, quite a pretty bird. And they have no problem clinging on with their claws, holding on and feeding at the same time. So has anybody noticed a decline in these, in the longtails? I certainly have, 100%, definitely, you know. Whether it's 1 or 2 families and they've moved on or they died off, whatever, who knows? I don't know the longevity of these. Now look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 6 longtails on there, with Dougie the Scarecrow in the background as well. But that's a nice picture, isn't it, when you see them like that? And that's what I used to have, that, and nothing like that nowadays. Why is it? Why are they not about? That's an entire family. Well, it could be because of these guys who will take eggs and young birds. The magpie, not exactly my favourite bird, but nevertheless, they are there and they'll clean up scraps and stuff like that. And always attracted to bright, silvery, shiny things. Very similar wing beat like that when you see it to the jay, I find anyway. And the same walking movement rather than hopping. And I find a lot of the predator-type birds do that. They do that walking along the ground, one leg after the other, rather than hopping along the ground. If you watch the wings on the jay and the wings on the magpie, to me they're very, very similar. And of course they do carry all sorts of superstitions with them. 2 for a boy, 3 for a girl, 4 for something else, 5 for a carp, I don't know. They have all these different superstitions of how many you see together, these magpies. Ordinarily I wouldn't let them be this close to the feeder because they will kill the young birds as well. But you know, I wanted pictures of them, so normally I would just shoo them away and they'd disappear and get facial recognition. This one, who looks like he's frozen in time with a peanut in his beak, is nuthatch. But look how fast he blinks, the eye blinking on that. Absolutely frozen. And I got that one down as a nuthatch. Again, tell me if I'm wrong. A different day filming, frozen, he's on the ground picking stuff up. Trying to get as much as he can there, whatever it is on the floor to pick up. Who knows? I don't see any more. I think I've seen 2 on the feeder at once. I've never seen many of them, so I imagine they're fairly solitary bird. And of course you easily identify them because they always tend to feed, if they're on a tree or something, upside down. Literally like this, they're upside down. And they hammer away with that pointed beak and looking all the time. Look, what is he looking for? Me? He's looking straight at me. I think he's looking for predators, because when you think, if you're upside down feeding, you're not really aware of what's going to nail you from the top, like a kestrel, buzzard or a kite, are you? I think it's more likely to be the kestrel that's going to take him. But he hammers away, taking pieces of the peanut, and of course lots of those bits of peanut that he doesn't get drop on the floor, and that attracts a lot of the other birds as well. I've only seen in 2023 just 1 on the feeder in this particular year. So I got this down as a nuthatch. I don't honestly know whether they change colours with the seasons, whether they're adults, do they stay that colour all the time? I don't know. This one's a bit of a face-off between the blue tits and the nuthatch. They're always fighting over something, holding their own. That's as close as I can zoom from my kitchen window. And again, looking up all the time, looking. So if you see a bird that's feeding upside down, are they the only British bird to feed upside down? Tell me that. Or do woodpeckers feed upside down? I've not filmed a woodpecker on a tree, so I don't know. I'm just an amateur photographer who just runs around with a camcorder, getting what I can of different birds. Got a good mix of species, considering it's just in my garden. I'm not in the middle of the Amazon rainforest. I'm just in an English garden over a period of time, filming whatever I can, whenever I can. Of course, a lot I miss. If I'm out working, the birds are on the feeders, could be something rare there and I don't get it. Hammer, absolutely hammer away at it. And again, how long do these birds live? How long does a nuthatch live for? Is it a long-living bird? I don't know. I like the black flash across their eye myself. Look how hard, when I put it in slow motion, that he hammers there. Again, hammering away, feeding very, very fast, spitting out the bits he doesn't want, and that helps feed the other birds when he breaks it up. So he's got something he wants there. So, it's a non-fishing film for those who just tune in. It's a non-fishing film. It's a condensed package of birds. Now look at these guys. This is only recently. This is 2023. Male pheasants. Beautiful, beautiful plumage. A bit like the Norwegian blue. Beautiful plumage to it. And they do indeed, look at the colours in that, have a beautiful plumage. And luckily for them, Mike's not there with his shotgun. Otherwise it might be pheasant stew. And Mike does tell me that if there are pheasants put down by gamekeepers in other fields, if that bird lands on your land, it is indeed fair game. I mean, for me, the colours in the pheasant are the main thing. I think we did do a film, maybe it's on Mike's channel, about cooking, how to pluck the pheasant, clean it, hang it, because they hang it to give it a more gamey flavour for some time, and to cook it as well. I've had it in game stew and stuff like that. But I'm just happy enough to see them potter around in the garden. I don't need to go out and shoot them because the supermarket is just up the road. If the supermarket was closed, have no fear, I would be after them if I was in a survival starving situation. And there we go. This one is, I'm calling this the pied wagtail. Very, very much like that long tail that was up on the feeder, but this guy likes it on the ground. The pied wagtail. And it's in slow motion, so you don't actually see the wag of the tail move that much. And again, it's quite a small, delicate bird. I'm pretty well on full zoom there. And I put the computer as a system called Layouter, where I can pull the focal point closer in the screen before it goes completely pixelated. That's about as close as I'm ever going to get. You know, I'm not a professional photographer. It's my hobby. Colourful chap though, isn't he, really? Again, does that little head turn. Look, see that? What's he looking for? What's he listening for? Are they listening or are they looking? I don't know. That head twist. You can see the tail bobbing up and down there, which is where it gets that name from, the wagtail. But of course I'm filming this in slow motion itself, so it's not really accentuated. And listen, bird people, why does it wag the tail like that? I know it's called a wagtail, that's painfully obvious, but why does it do it? You'd think, if anything, that would attract predators to it. You think it would be, now there's a wagtail, look, you can see it, bang, 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 and it's not necessarily when he's walking along. I used to think the wag of the tail came when he was walking along, but he can be standing still when the tail's going like billy-ho there. Why does it do that? Why is it going like that? Has he got special tiny button cell batteries stuck in a certain orifice somewhere that's making him twitch around like that? And if so, how long do those batteries last? How does he change them? Does he get them from the supermarket or does he go online? Twitch, 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 twitch. Slow motion, you don't see it. Another one that walks one leg after the other. It doesn't hop. So what's the difference between birds hopping two legs together or one leg after the other? Now here's a colourful clown of a chap. I got this down as the pied woodpecker. Now he does go up the trees hammering away. It was the bigger, much bigger green woodpecker I filmed earlier on. Is, I think, basically a ground feeder. Bird people tell me, am I correct? Green woodpecker feeds on the ground. Pied woodpecker feeds on the trees, getting bits out of the bark. And obviously he loves a nut feeder. They do like nut feeders. Again, we had families of these about 5 years ago, I suppose. And if these are old pictures, this year I've had, wait for this, in the whole of 2023, no more than one occasionally on the bird feeder. Now, doing this when I was filming, I never noticed this ever until I did the editing. If you look at his big long tail at the back, he uses it as a grip to hold onto the feeder, almost like a third leg. So I wonder, is he doing that? Have they developed that ecologically? Because they have to hammer in the tree and hold onto the tree so it gives them a strong... Because he's hammering so hard, he's putting a lot of effort into it, so he needs as big a point of holding as he can. Now there you can see the tail is using almost like a foot there. It's doubled, well, it's 90 degrees to his body. So he's clinging with his claws on the top of the cage, but he's using his tail to help give him leverage to power the head into the nuts, to break the nuts up. And I never knew this, and I filmed many of these guys until I was actually editing and thought, oh wow, I've never realised. There it is again. Totally different day. It's not like it's just a one-off. I've seen it on them before. But, you know, once you edit things, you think, oh, I just noticed something different there. If anybody's gone to sleep by now, I do apologise, but I did want to put this one up. It's a long film. I want to get it up. Birds in the garden. Where are the wild birds going? Why are they going? That's a nice picture of one. Now, whether that's the same one, do they have different markings, or do all pied woodpeckers have those 3 lines on their neck with a little red thumbprint there on top of a black head? Indeed, our birds like fish, and they have different markings. You know, you can identify them differently. I don't know. See, now then, in contrast, I've got this down as a family of 3. I think the centre one is the adult. I think the ones at the top of the picture and the bottom of the pictures might be juveniles. Am I correct? Or is there a difference in coloration? Slightly smokiness of the head. The bright red is the mature one, is the bright right head with a black cheek, pronounced either a male or a female. But I'm guessing either side of the centre one are young ones, you know, young ones being taught by the centre one. This was probably done in the summer because I could see his beak is open a lot, so I guess he's hot, he's panting. That's what I used to be told. But you can see how he's hopping around. Now, he doesn't do the walking, does he? He doesn't go one leg after the other like humans. He hops. Imagine if we had to go around the supermarket like that. So you're pushing a trolley along, and then you just go hop, hop, hop like that. Or let's all play a game of football, hopping. Well, if you're hopping, how on earth would you kick the ball? Why do I get these strange things? Why? This inquisitiveness that turns me mad. See him 2 minutes ahead, watch. He's looking up, and his eye blinking is just a millisecond when he blinks his eye. It's like he's trying to clear his eye to look upwards. Is it buzzards or kites he's looking for? I don't know. Because don't forget, he's down on the ground. If he's a ground feeder, he's pretty well, I'm going to say, pinned to the ground, or he's restricted in his movements for escape, his method of getting away. Now look, he's phased out by something. He's definitely looking up in the sky, 100%. What is he looking for? It's like he can't focus or something. Strange. Look, I mean, that is about the best shot I got of it. He's looking up there for something. It's weird. Is he looking for... Well, he won't be looking for Colin the kite, because I'm told, although they're extremely majestic birds, and replenish the stocks in England hugely now, absolutely all over the place. I believe they were restocked after being shot out years and years ago up in the Chilterns, and they spread from there. And we've got this giant one, we call him Colin the kite, but obviously it's probably a big female, but it's a huge bird, and he is bigger than a lot of the other kites. Perhaps it's because we're feeding him. Not excessively. I'll put the odd bits of chicken out for him, and mice out of traps and things like that. He seems to like those. There, look at that for a picture. Look at that beak. Is that not a wicked beak? Beautiful smoky head to it. What a bird. That is Colin. Obviously he knows our bird table. Big bird. Her. And he goes up in our raptor tree. That's in the winter. He can sit up there, survey his domain. He's not necessarily, the second one, he's not necessarily boss dog. The buzzard will chase him off, no problem at all. I think the buzzard is way more aggressive than the red kites. I believe, as people have told me, the red kites are more of a scavenger. But things change when you get to like June. This was filmed in June, just outside my garden, just over the fence, outside the kitchen. Along they come to harvest the hay. Is it for haylage? Grasslage, lidge, whatever. And they chop it up. And of course, in amongst that grass, there are creatures, mice and voles and bits and pieces. And they get chopped up or basically exposed. And Colin, he must go on Colin's Facebook or something and tell all his mates about this, because they're going to have anything up to 20 of these that suddenly appear within a day, 2 days, almost a day they come. And I imagine they follow these guys around doing the harvesting in harvest time when it's cut, because it must be like Christmas for them. Down he goes. He's probably got something in the grass. I see two others in the background, not flying, but there's some in the grass there. Majestic bird, and they've got that delta wing to them. I can't even follow them. When they're like this, they're sort of in that hunting mode. They're very sketchy, zooming around different angles and that. Very difficult to follow. Fine if you're a wildlife cameraman with a £25,000 camera. I haven't. I use a camcorder, and that's point and press, and that's what I get. Autofocus all the way. An impressive bird. Pair of them there. Not necessarily a pair, but they're having a little argument there or something. Look. One chasing, smaller one chasing the bigger one off by the look of it. He's bashing Colin up. That's not right, is it? I thought Colin was the tough one. Not bad, getting this on film myself. I'm happy enough with it. So you can see as they go along, chopping it all up. It's quite a special time of year, and you do get buzzards come down as well. This is a kite. Look at him go down there. Lovely markings on it. Big birds. Absolutely lost in the grass. You can't see him at all there till he actually moves. I've never seen them take stuff like rabbits in there. Now, has he got something in his claws, or is he taking something off for nesting? Maybe he's got a mouse or a vole or something like that, and he's got the grass in his claws and doesn't want to obviously pull it out until he takes it off to eat it. Cool. I'm doing this in the winter, guys, seeing this like this. I know this is about third week in June. This is when we need a nice bit of warm weather. And there's a pair of them, look. One on the left's got sort of scruffy feathers to the top of his head, and the one on the right has the smooth feathers. How they see things in the distance, I don't know. Right, back to birds in the garden. Watch this guy flick over the leaves. Because of that red little flash, I've got this. Is this a redwing? Is this one called is it a filbert, or is it a redwing because it's got that red patch on the wing? I think the redwings might be migratory. He's got something in his beak there, look. Bashing it around. But if you watch in some of the clips coming up, he absolutely mullers those leaves. He really throws them all over the place. So there is something under the leaf that he's after. He's not going through the rest of the glass. Look, see him throw it through the air. He just flicks it way through the air. And he's patently obvious he's looking for something underneath. Bird people tell me, a redwing? Well, listen, you guys identify it for me. Could be question time at the end. How many birds has Mr. Pullen filmed on his camera through his kitchen window in his back garden? How many different species? It's quite a lot. I'm just watching this one. Look, every time it's a leaf he's flicking or turning over. And he doesn't just turn it over, he really gives it a violent flick. So maybe there's a creature, look, that lives on the underside of the leaf, a tiny creature that he wants to eat. You see, he doesn't just turn it over, he tosses it, 4 times his own body length away from him. Look, he picked it up with his beak and threw it as an oak leaf then. Again, I just saw them bobbing around when I was filming, but once you start slowing stuff down, you start seeing different mannerisms and feeding methods and stuff like that. You think, wow, that's different. And there's an area of muddy water that they're having a little clean up, a little bit of a bath up in there. And that's a big one in the middle there. He's going to see off some of the others in a minute. Now, do they do this? See the red patch on his wing? Do they do this to get rid of mites? People say, oh, they're just washing themselves. Well, why? Why are they washing themselves? Is it to get dust off, or is it to get rid of mites or ticks or something like that? Parasites? I don't know. Bird people, comments please. Oh, there's one chasing the other one there. Here he is, tossing leaves all over the place. And of course when you put it on normal speed you don't see it quite as much, but it all happens much faster. So I thought I'd throw in some clips of the slow motion just so you can get an idea. He's got something. Now what's he got? I can't zoom in on that anymore. This one I've got down, people say is a pigeon. I got it down as a turtle-necked dove, which is more small and delicate than a pigeon. Am I correct? Am I going to the back of the class? Am I going to the naughty corner? Or as we called it at school, the dunce's corner, and you had to put a little white cone on your head and face the corner. Can you imagine what they do now? The teachers would get sued to oblivion sending somebody to the naughty corner. But of course at the end of the day we learned and had respect. A robin, the most popular bird surely in the English country garden, that one. Now they tell me these are very territorial, and should there be a fight going on, they will fight to the death over their territory. And you see it's the winter because I've got what I call my zebra grass growing there, which is that lovely winter tassel stuff to the top. And he's very keen for me to go fishing, especially in the winter, because I go digging for worms. If I go digging for worms, I'm sure you gardeners out there and people in the garden will have had a robin at some stage come very close to you. They love a good rake up, tidy up, anything. Now I vaguely remember, even back in school days, they said something like a robin has to consume 17 feet of worms a day or something colossal, I don't know. Obviously tiny worms as well. Somebody tell me, I know they're territorial. Is it true that they eat a huge amount, or they need a huge amount of worms and live insects to get through the cold weather? There you can see Frosty being chased off by a finch then, and standing his ground, you'll notice. This was one I got when I was fishing. He came so close it was ridiculous. Handful of ground bait. Maggots they normally like. I can't tell you, I'm not even on zoom there, it's just standard lenses. I would say he's no more than, well, there he's about a foot from the camera lens, because the quality is actually halfway reasonable. But they are quite a friendly bird. But they are, I've seen them fighting on different sides of the garden. I have definitely seen that happen. I've not seen any fights to the death yet. There's the pied wagtail again, or another pied wagtail. But I put that clip in because then you can see that tail, when he gets going, it does actually twitch about quite a lot. And how fast they feed. And he's feeding on stuff. Look, there's the pied woodpecker, and note the tail of the pied woodpecker around the back. Here are the deadly enemies to bird feeders. Yes, the starlings. These guys come like a big gang. They're like the mafia of the bird world. And they got a vicious beak on them. Look at that. Nice speckled markings on them. But by golly, can they demolish your bird feeder in not very long when they come mob-handed to you. And of course these are the birds that do, look, watch this, look at them facing off, the nuthatch, and I think that's funny. Even the starling wasn't expecting that. But when they get like this, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can get more than that, you can get 20 or 30 of them coming. They just go through these fat balls like you wouldn't believe. And of course the small birds then, A, have no food, and B, have been frightened off by them anyway. The only one that's going to be taking interest in these guys, I imagine, is a buzzard and possibly the kestrel. Very sharp pointed beak, and I've never noticed anything other than that metallic type sheen on their feathers there. You can just catch a little bit of it. It's a sort of a metallic colour depending on there, you can see under his throat there, it's a lovely colour. It's a metallic purpley colour under them. Not when they get all fluffed up, but when it goes smooth, they've got quite a nice colour there. But, you know, I don't like going and buying loads of stuff to feed a huge flock of starlings. And of course occasionally they will go wild, and this lot came as it was in winter time, I would guess. There were sheep in the field, so they've obviously uncovered something, the sheep, through walking around, and they're getting insects and stuff like that. I have no problem like that, but when they're all together and they're on your feeder, they can decimate your food. You can see they're working their way through there systematically, like almost a swarm of feathered locusts. And of course I don't know exactly where they go. You know, do they migrate to Spain, Portugal, or do they actually migrate as far as Africa? There you can see them when they flock, and of course that's when you get vast flocks of them, and they get what they call a murmuring, where they change direction. It's quite impressive when you see them when they're in the thousands. This isn't a big flock, this is just something that's come past the garden. There you go, they all go up together, but it's when they get massive tens of thousands and they change direction that it's really good for filming. Here we have a rarity. I've got this down as a thrush, regular garden thrush or a song thrush, I don't know, but he's going along collecting worms up. I don't see any more than one a year. 2023, again, rare to see them, but I've got it down as a thrush. If it's wrong, you people tell me. I'm pretty sure you people will tell me. Somebody will be on the keyboard, but I've got that one down as a thrush. Used to see loads of these around as a kid, but again, not so many of them about now. That's what I find anyway. Worms. You see him get the worm? Actually see him take it then. I'm guessing it's autumn time, this one, because the colour of the grass and the leaves are down on the ground. I don't think it's winter. I think it's autumn. There you can see the leaves. Now what's this one? I got this down as some form of sparrow. I think somebody did tell me once when I asked them what it was and described it, they said it's a hedge sparrow. I thought it was some rare warbler, finch or whatever like that. But somebody said no, it sounds like the hedge sparrow as opposed to an ordinary sparrow. because it's got that grey neck. And you see the smoky grey neck to it. And that's what caught my eye. And I feel the beak is longer on it. It doesn't look like a finch's beak. It looks far too pointed. Very fast how he works, isn't it? But the beak on them, I don't know, it's like a sparrow. You see, it's a very small bird, but it's the grey that's throwing me off. So one of you guys, please tell me what that one is. Is that a common garden sparrow, which I'm going to say no, I don't think it is. And somebody said it sounds like a hedge sparrow. I didn't even know there were two sparrows. I thought it was just a sparrow, but it's got that grey ring to its neck. Answers on a postcard. Answers in the comments page, please. Now that's as close as I can get to it for people to identify. But look, it's a much longer beak than a finch. A finch is a sort of stumpy type beak. And that one's much longer. Here is the regular common or garden wood pigeon, what we call woodies. They tell me you get that white flash in the wings, which you don't often get in the ones you'll see up in the cities. Apparently that gets bred out. There's plenty of these around. Farmers probably don't like them. They'll have all your crops if you planted new seeds and stuff like that. But I understand the wood pigeon is the one that has that white flash. Can you see it there on the wings? Again, if I'm wrong, tell me. We had one pair, I feel, for 10 or 15 years because it had a mark on its leg. And then it expired one night. I came out the next morning, it was on the ground, and I think it was the rare thing called botulism, which I think they can get. So if I move it, I'll move it with a garden fork and then heave it over the fence, because botulism is, I believe, a disease like the nervous system. I don't know if it's transferable to humans. I wasn't about to try and find out. But obviously they could just die from old age. But we did notice that the partner, male or female, stood right by the body all day. If I went out, it flew away. If I came back, it just stood to it, right next to it, which was unusual, I found. Now, limping. Watch, he's got a deformed left leg, or right leg as you look at it there. Can you see it? Totally different bird. It's not a finch. Here we are. Why are the birds getting deformed feet like this? I'm sure bird watchers must know. Is it something natural that occurs that they feed on? Is it the herbicides? And so no herbicides in my garden, but obviously they go outside the garden and feed. I don't know. Now this one is a bit more unusual. I got this down as a yellow wagtail. Am I right? Am I correct? Is it a yellow wagtail? Now we've had rains and flooding, and you'll notice he's right on the edge of where the water is. So I'm assuming the water has driven insects out there, and they're just on the edge of the grass, because he's not right back in. I know you can see them occasionally bobbing the wagtail. Look where there he goes up and down. But a very delicate little bird, this. But I'm just curious to I can go out there and look when he's gone, or I shoot him off and scared him. I think, what is he feeding on? It's so small. I don't know. I'm looking almost with an eyeglass and I can't see what he's been feeding on. But there's some sort of fly maybe comes up from there, a maggot, I don't know, a larva or something. Delicate bird, nice to see. Don't see many of these. I haven't seen one in 2023 at all, not one. In fact, that's the only one I filmed as a yellow wagtail for some years. So there you go, folks. Finish off with a yellow wagtail. Hopefully, I haven't sent you all to sleep. I probably sent you all to sleep, but that's good. You've relaxed. The main thing is, it's a de-stress zone. It's not fishing. It's just something different. There will be one or two people that like birds out there and might put in the comments page, but I've done my best filming. And I can't do any more than that, can I? I can't do any more than just do my best. I'm not a professional photographer. I get the camera, I go outside, I press it. Half the time it doesn't work. When it works, the bird's gone. I've got what I've got over. That's taken some years to get all those clips. I say I had to go through 400 clips to find anything really vaguely usable. Now I know it's a long film. I know some of you might be... That's okay as well, because you've at least relaxed, haven't you? You've at least relaxed, you chilled out. All you've thought of is, my God, that's so boring. It's relaxing. And there will be people who think, Actually, it's not boring, because the old boy, Moi, has done a relatively good job of documenting birds in his back garden. And once a year, I believe nationally, there is a day that you can document the birds. They want to know what wild birds are left in your garden, specifically on the national average, to get a database of what is there on that day. All I can say is 2023 was not a good year, nor were the two before that. So I am hoping it's going to come back. I can't put my finger on exactly why those birds haven't come. I don't know. I don't get the numbers I got even. I suppose when it went down would have been just pre-COVID, just before COVID. Is it some bird flu? Does it affect all of them? I tell you, it doesn't affect the kites, plenty of those, seen buzzards, seen pigeons, starlings. It's the more delicate birds I'm not seeing. I'm just not seeing them. Guys, thanks for watching it. I'll put another film up. It won't be. It ain't going to be birds. Don't worry. That's a lifetime's worth of film in there. I've done the best I can with my little handicap. I hope you've watched it and enjoyed it. And listen, in the comments page, if you've enjoyed it, say so. If you haven't, say so. It's not a problem. There might be some birds if I got the IDs wrong. I really haven't got the books. I've just automatically, because I've done fishing, I've thought what those birds are. We'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to watch TA Outdoors as well, Mike's channel. And hopefully, next week, another fishing one.